Hello, math students. We're going to be multiplying binomials using algebra tiles. Now we have three different tiles. Our little square, 1 by 1 square, gives an area of 1. 1 times 1 is 1, so this small square is going to represent 1. This thin rectangle, long length represents quantity of x, and the short length represents quantity of 1. Our area would be x times 1, which gives us the value of x. So this long, thin rectangle will represent our x. Now this big square, remember the long lengths represent the value of x, and the area in this case would be x times x, which gives us x squared. So the big square would represent our x squared. Now we're ready to do some multiplying binomials. So now we have x plus 2 times x plus 1. I'm going to have x plus 2, so we have an x, a thin rectangle for our x, and then plus 2 small squares for our 1s. I'm going to set this up vertically, and then I'm going to set the other one up horizontally so we can start filling in the area of the table that it forms. And then the other one we have x plus 1. So we have an x thin rectangle about this long, another x, and we have a plus 1 for this one. So x plus 2 times x plus 1. Now let's fill in the gaps. So this x and x creates a x by x big square. So this one will give us an x squared. Makes sense because x times x gives us x squared. Now over here we have an x on this side, and then we have a 1 up here. So we have an x times 1. So we get the long length from the x and the short length from the 1, so we get an x, thin rectangle. Now down here, we can fill in this one first. We get a short length from this 1, and then a long length from the x up top. So we have an x, another x rectangle. And we have another one, because we have two 1s, so we get another one with the short length from the 1 and the long length from the x. So we have another x here, and then over here, up top we have the short length, so we get a 1, and then on the left we have another short length, so we get another short length. So here we have a 1 by 1 square, so we get a 1, and then we have another one down here because there's 2 on the left. Fill in the space. Now let's add everything together. We have an x squared, we have 3 x's, and we have 2 1s. So we have x squared plus 3x plus 2. That's equal to x plus 2 times x plus 1. You try this one. Pause the video, unpause, and 3, 2, 1. Now let's do this together. So x plus 3, x plus 2, we're going to multiply it together using algebra tiles. So we have x plus 3, we have an x plus 3 on the left. So we have an x here, a 1 block here, another 1 block, and a third 1 block to add up for 3 1 blocks to get the plus 3. Now up top we have an x, we have one x. So we have one of the thin rectangle x, and then plus 2 1 blocks. 1 1. Now same as before, let's fill in the gaps. We get a big square here, a big x squared square, x squared. Now here we get 2 thin x rectangles, 2 of them. And then down here we get 3 thin x rectangles, 3 of them, because we have 3 1s on the left. Now down here we have a 2 by 3 set of 1 by 1 blocks. So we got 6 1 blocks. Each of these are 1. So let's label these, add everything together. We have an x squared plus, how many x's do we have? We have 5x. How many 1s do we have? We have 6. So we have x squared plus 5x plus 6. This is equal to x plus 3 times x plus 2. Last example, here's a little tricky one. Now we have a negative number. But the way we're going to represent negative numbers is by filling it in. So we're just going to do the same thing. But whenever we have the negative, we're just going to do a filled in colored block. So we have a positive x, and I'll keep that normal colored because it's positive. Now we have a negative 2. So we're going to have 2 1 blocks for the 2, but they're negative. So I'm going to fill them in to make them negative. Okay, so this is our x minus 2 on this side. Now we have x plus 3 on the top. So I'm just going to do the same long thin rectangle for x, and then 3 1 blocks. And this is a positive 3, so I'm going to leave these positive 1s. Now, let's just start filling it up normally. So here we have x by x to give us a big x by x, x squared square. Now we have, on this side, we have a 1 times x. So we have a long from the x and then a short from the 1. So we get an x rectangle. And then we have another one here because there's another 1 up top. So we have another x and then a third one, a third x, because we have to accommodate for the 3 1s on top. Now we're getting down to the negative part. So everything thus far is being done normally. Well, the only rule that we're going to apply here is that a negative number times a positive will give us a negative. So we're going to have the same shapes. So this would normally give us a thin x, but in this case, since this 1 is negative, this is going to be negative as well. And we have another one below it because we have another negative one on the left. So we have 2 negative x blocks. Now over here we have 6. So we have room for 6. So we have 6 ones. But remember, so since these are all positive and these are both negative, a positive times a negative gives us a negative. So all these will turn out to be negative. So we have 6 negative ones. Now we just add everything together normally. We have an x squared. We have 3 positive x's. We have negative 2x. We have 2 negative x's. And we have 6 negative ones. Okay, so we have everything written out. Now we can combine the middle two terms. X squared, 3 minus 2 is positive 1. So we have 1 positive x. And then we have a negative 6. Now this is simplified. So we have x squared plus x minus 6. That turns out to be equal to what we started with, x minus 2 times x plus 3. Thank you. Tune in next time for more math.